And really what I would like to stress more than anything else is that yes, Africans have good and bad. They have their heroes and they have their villains. I'm not trying to say it didn't exist, it did exist, but it wasn't a code of conduct. When you look at Egyptian history, you look at a dynastic period. The timeline of Egypt is the pharaonic dynasties. If you look at European history, and I have a master's in European history, the timeline are wars. When I teach social studies, we start at the first war. Whether you go back to Greece or to Rome with Spartacus and all of the gladiators, you have nothing but the Greek city-states fighting themselves, the Romans, of course, doing their thing. Then, of course, from Rome you have the Visigoths and the Vandals. From the Visigoths and Vandals you then have Columbus. From Columbus then you have the French and British fighting, you have the Dutch fighting, you have every group fighting. Then you get to 1900, you have World War I, World War II, the Korea, Vietnam, Russia. When Europe's not in hot wars, they create cold wars. They are constantly at war. Their timeline in social studies, you do by wars. There is no cultural or civilizing impact that you go from one consciousness to another. What separates European history from each other? Wars. When you go to Africa, you have the great kingdoms. When you go to Asia, you have great kingdoms, Africans, of course. When you go to India, you have great kingdoms. Wherever you go in the world, you have great kingdoms. But when you deal with European history coming about 1492, because you know, there was no Renaissance. That is a miracle. For Europe to have a Renaissance is the greatest miracle that you could ever exist, that could ever exist. And the reason why I say that is because how can you be reborn when you were never born? Europe never gave birth to civilization. They merely stole Egypt's civilization.